All right. Welcome everyone to the fourth session, and today we are looking at project initiation and feasibility studies. But before we venture into this business, let me have a quick recap of our last session. In our last session, we were looking at the system development life cycle, of which we agreed that we could also called the software development life cycle or the application software life cycle. Then we also looked at methodologies, and we said the SDLC, that's the logical way in which information systems are developed, and we say the execution of the SDLC becomes methodologies. We looked at the steps of the feasibility study of the system development life cycle. We started by a preliminary study. We go on to systems analysis, system design, testing, up to maintenance, documentation. Then we also look at different types of methodologies, and of course, I said I might need to hear 14 groups from you, so I'm still waiting for those 14 groups. But today's business, we're looking at project initiation and feasibility studies. All right, so today's business, we want to look at now. If we look from our previous sessions, we have identified the project, or we want to know how exactly, because we want to have a new project. How are we going to initiate a project? How are project initiated? We mentioned that after initiation, after coming up with objectives, or whatever, how do we then determine to say, no, now we need to come up with a new system. Now there is need for a new system. How are project initiated? That is today's business. And also we're going to be looking at feasibility studies. And we're going to be looking at different categories of feasibility studies. And then we're also going to be looking at how are we going to reach a conclusion to say, if we are to have a system and want to test its technical feasibility, what is the criteria that we're going to use to say this system passes what you call feasibility study? So the objectives are, number one, is to understand how projects are initiated and selection. So we are looking at project initiation and project selection. Then I want to define a business problem and determine the feasibility of a project proposed project. Then plan a project by identifying activities and scheduling them. So what we'll be looking at is what you call project initiation, determining project. Then I'm also going to be looking at activity planning and control. Then I'm also going to be looking at project scheduling. And lastly, we're looking at managing systems analysis team members. Right, project initiation. So project initiation, it begins with problems or with opportunities for improvement in a business as organization adapts to change. So all we're saying is there might be problems or there might be opportunities for improvement. We are either trying to solve a problem that could have arisen, or there are opportunities for improvement. Maybe it's a change in technology that we want to capitalize so that we can actually leverage on that technology for a competitive advantage. So we can actually initiate a project either as a result of problem that could have arisen, or as a result of opportunity in the environment that we want to capitalize for a competitive edge. Then in determining project feasibility, the rest need to work with decision makers to work if it is possible. Like I said, indicated earlier on, we are going to be looking at different categories of feasibilities. Then for us to conclude that this is feasible, it's not the systems analyst job only. We need also to work with the decision makers to say whatever we agree to say. If we have to consider this cost, maybe we're looking at the economic feasibility of a particular project, the decision makers must be part and parcel of those people who are going to decide to say this project is feasible and this project is not what? It's not feasible. Then project scheduling, we are looking at the activities that involved in a project. Like we indicated in our previous session, that a project is made up of activities. Those activities can be divided or subdivided. Those projects we need also to allocate time, we need to allocate resources. So project skills is all about identifying the activities, then allocate the time. We can also extend to allocate the resources, and resources will include time, money, and personnel, or the expertise that is needed. But basically, scheduling is normally deals with the timing of the project. Activities versus the time that is needed for the completion of that activity. Then we also talk of projects, activities that can be done in parallel, activities that can be done concurrently, activities that can overlap, whatever. But We can make use of tools such as the Gantt charts, the PET diagrams. Those are the tools that we can use actually to do what we call our project scheduling, project dependencies, which activity depends on other dependents, activity dependencies, activity precedence, whatever. That is covered, but basically we're looking at project timing. Then, planning and managing activities and team members. This is part of assuring the productivity of system analysis team members is effectively managing scheduled activity. So after allocating project members to activities, you need to manage how they carry out the activities. And this is more of quality assurance and also trying to make sure we have a productivity within the system analysis team members. Right, how are project initiated? Projects are initiated through two conditions. There might be a problem in the organization, and then number two, there might be opportunities for improvement. So if a problem arises in an organization, if those problems lend themselves to system solution, then we're obviously going to say, why can we just proceed to develop a system to address that problem? That's one way a system or a project is initiated. Number two, there might be an opportunity for improvement, which might be caused by upgrading, altering, or installing new systems. Or it might be an advancement in technology, which might bring a new opportunity for what? For improvement. We can actually say, why can't we just utilize this? I'm sure you agree with me that with these recent changes in technologies, there's no need for nowadays to say we're having big, the server rooms, we're having our data. You simply pay cloud storage, you are done. So you see all those opportunities. We have migrated from the systems whereby we used to have our own local storage, but we are also capitalizing the improvement in technology whereby we no longer want to have our zip files, our hard disk drives, backup CDs on a daily basis, but we can actually have a remote backup. We can actually have our servers hosted somewhere. What we are only concerned about is connectivity. So if you look in terms of, if we want to look in terms of such developing technology, it obviously gives a rise to a number of new systems which are not dependent upon local servers, which are not dependent upon our local hard drives and our local storage. So it's an improvement that is opportunity for improvement that has been caused by what? By technological what? Improvement or technological advancement, which it caused that an improvement or the design of new systems. Sorry. Okay, mugashika pamatene kadete. Motora datro dinotuka kutara ukadete. All right, so we're saying that's how our systems, our project are initiated. Either we are looking in terms of the problem that could have arisen or the opportunities, but both problems and opportunities can rise in the organization, adapt to and copes with natural evolutionary changes. So that's how project are initiated. Then how do we identify problems in an organization? Then to identify project, we check out against performance criteria. Right? What do we look? What are the signs that we're looking at? If we're having performance criteria, if we're having a system that has too many errors, of course there might be a problem with that system. If work completed slowly, there might be a problem. Work done incorrectly, work done incompletely, work not done at all. I think most of you agree with me. I don't know if this case have already improved. I used to go to Registrar General. I don't know. It would take you something like 2 to 3 hours just to print a copy of a death certificate or birth certificate. Work completed slowly. It means there is something wrong with the system. Then observe the behavior of employees. High absenteeism, high job certificate, high job turnover. Then there is a problem with that system. Then you need also to listen to external feedback from vendors, customer, or other stakeholders. Too much complaints, too many suggestions for improvements, loss of sales or lower sales. So these symptoms or this specific sign, they tell you that the system that you're currently using is having problems. Then you need to find ways of improving, and that's also how projects are initiated. Okay, let's look at our problem definition. Problem definition, we start by what we call a problem statement, which is a paragraph or two stating the problem or opportunity. Then there might be issues which are independent issues pertaining to the problem or opportunity. Issues are the current situation, objectives are the desired situation. I'm sure, okay, fine, you're doing it 200. I thought you're doing it 400. You tried 200, there are no much issue that I can address over that issue. But the current issue, the current situation is the issues that you were having at hand. But what we want to achieve becomes the desired situation, which will be our objectives. So the objectives, these are the goals that make the issues point by point. If we're saying we're having a system that is slow, what is the desired system? We want to come up with a system that can actually help save a customer in the earliest time possible. And if you are having an issue that the system is only accessible when you're at campus, what is the desired situation that we want to have? You want to come up with an online system that can be accessed by any way, either through mobile or through any other device that can access the internet. Now you are addressing the current situation with the desired situation. Then the requirements, these are the things that must be accomplished along with the possible solutions and constraints that limit the development of the system. Requirements may include security, usability, government requirements, and so on. Constraints might be budget restrictions or time limitations. Of course, if we talk of requirements, we include both functional and non-functional requirements. They must be part and parcel of what? Of the requirements. Don't confuse functional and non-functional requirements. Functional requirements, we're looking at those things that if a system doesn't possess, then there is no system. Or in other words, we're simply saying functional requirements, this is what the system is designed to do. Without those systems, then there was no need to develop a system, or we don't need to have a system. So those things that a system must do, or which are the main reasons why we design such a system, are what we call the functional requirements. Non-functional requirements, these are more like the beautifiers of the system. It makes the system more attractive. We are now more of beautifying the system. So what are the steps that are taken to define a problem? Number one, find a number of points that may be included in one issue. We have an issue, like we said, the issue, that's the current situation. And before the problem definition is produced, of course, we're going to gather information through data collection methodologies. Then major points must be identified as issues. Not all points are addressed as issues, but we identify major issues, of which if we identify major issues, we could find out that some small issues can actually be within those major issues. Before the problem definition is produced, information is gathered from interviews. It's just a repetition. So that's where somehow you fail to articulate what you want to do, because you are taking all the issues. You want to come up with a system that is user-friendly. You want to actually to cater for those people who are less technical. You want it to be user-friendly. you want it to have high security, you want it to capture A, B, and C. No, there are some issues that are captured within some other issues. So what is important for you is to identify only major issues, the desired issues, which the current situation, which are that important, that you want to address. You using what objectives or the desired situations are the ones that you must list. So, number 2, you state the objective. Once the issues are identified, that's the current situation. Objectives are stated. Once you identify the issues, then obviously the current, you can actually tell what you want to achieve. That is the desired situation. So then determine the relative importance of the issues or objectives. Identify which objectives are more critical. Of course, we need to prioritize our objectives. We need to start with the main objective. For example, if you want to come up with a library system, the system, of course, it has to cater for its main goal is the library, lending out books, borrowing books, whatever. Of course, if we talk of security, these are more of beautifiers of the system. So, all right, so due to constraints, it's a general set to order objectives and determine which are most important. Like saying we need to have a hierarchy or to order in terms of importance. Then after the objectives are stated, the relative importance of the issued objectives is determined. Some risk objective prioritization is also needed. Which one is important? Which one are the main objectives? Which one are the supporting objective to the main objectives? Then after that, you can actually know the current situation and the desired situation that you want to where we want to get. So it's important that you identify the major or major objectives, because if you start with the main objective, you find out that by the time you reach the major objective, you could have covered a lot of unnecessary information, but you work with the major objective towards the minor objectives. So selection of projects. How are projects selected? Obviously, you can come up with the main projects, but without backing from management, there is nothing that can be accomplished. So selection of projects is need also backing from the management. Management, we are looking at those people who are going to finance the project. Then where there's appropriate timing of project commitment, then a project can be selected. That is, for example, we have been having a pool of projects, but there is a proper time that this project has to be done, considering the proper the timing of the project. We can actually select the project based on that. Then possibility of improving attainment of organizational goal. If a project has a higher probability of improving organizational goals, obviously this project is a higher chances of being selected as compared to other one which cannot even improve the attainment of organizational goals. Then we can talk in terms of practicability in terms of resources for the analyst in the organization. If there is enough resources, if there is enough expertise for the system or for a project as compared to other projects, then that project is likely to commence as compared to others. Then we can also talk in terms of the worthwhile of a project. If the project is worth it as compared to other, in terms of investment, in terms of resources and everything, then that project can also be selected as compared to others. So selection of projects, we are simply saying as an organization, you'll be having what you call a project proposal, which is a project portfolio, which is a sort of a list or a briefcase of projects that you want to do. But you cannot do as an organization, do all those projects at once. Some projects, they need backing from management. So if we're having 100 projects, then there is one that is being backed by management. That's the one that is going to be selected first. Then we also talk in terms of appropriate timing. We can take in terms of the project possibility of improving, attaining organizational goals.